Welcome to the Online Success Journey Podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey Podcast, Patience.
The Online Success Journey continues episode 295. Every guest shares the path that took them to success, so you will want to subscribe right now and ensure you'll never miss a journey. I post at least one journey each week, and I would love for you to join me. Today we have Jennifer Dopazo, the founder of multimedia design studio Candelita and a 3 times American Graphic Design Award winner. Also a graphic designer specializing in brand identity and interaction design. Hello, Jennifer.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. My audience are excited to hear your story, but just start by telling us one thing we are going to learn from you today that will help us on our journey to success.
Well, I think it's just as I look back into how I started my business, just moving, from another country to here to the US, is just not being scared of listening to no, and I'm still working on it, but just be open to asking for help. Share your vision with everyone around you, even though you think they're tired of listening to it, because that's going to help, have your support system either check in with you, ask you how things are going, but also give you that sense of accountability that you can just see if you're in the right way, check on you if, that vision's still the same. And I think it's just be very, very honest with yourself that your business and your goals will evolve. And that's fine. And even if it's a couple months since you had a big idea and then you want to sort of like tweak it or pivot, but it fits better your current situation, that's fine. And I think it's just seeing your business as a growing and organic being has been better for me than just seeing it as this plan that I put on paper and I have to do it as I planned it a few years ago.
Wow, I can't wait to hear about that. But let's get started with the basics. Can you tell my audience a little bit about your background, about what you did before you started your own online business?
Yes, of course. So I'm originally from Venezuela in South America. I was born and raised in Caracas, which is the capital city. And I when I went to school, I went to business school for a couple of years because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And, I was just kind of like growing up in a house with 2 older brothers. It was just like, well, just go to, business school. That's so easy. Like you can get a job. And it's just like such a, I like math. So I'm like, okay, that's a good option. Halfway through, I realized that it wasn't for me. I just like started seeing my friends just starting getting into jobs in banks and things like that. And I was kind of like, oh, I don't think that's what I want to do. And I used to have a painting professor when I was growing up. And I remember one day going back to him and asking him, like, I don't feel very happy about this. I feel that I don't have time to be creative anymore, to either do anything that has to do with crafts. And he was just asking me, like, why don't you just consider like going into graphic design as a career? Which it's really funny because my answer to him at that time was, wait, can you make a living out of that? Which was the idea of like not being exposed to it, right? So it was my parents, oh my God, they were so graceful about it, because they were just kind of like, okay, try to figure it out, do this. And I dropped business school and started design school. And then after that, I went to a design school that it's more visual communication. So they give you different skills, not only graphic design, but motion graphics, illustration, arts. I don't know, you can build furniture. Like there were like different skills that they will give you. So you can just go out and sort of like pick what you wanted to work on. So I started doing that. I thought I was going to be a children's books illustrator. That was something that really excited me. And I was like in love with that field. But when I graduated, I ended up working with a professor of mine in his design agency, and we started doing web, and at the time was Flash and interactive games. So it was like really interesting to dive into this interactive world. In 2007, I moved to New York. My brother was living here at the time, and I was able to start a master's program at Parsons in design and technology. So during those years, I got exposed to even more things that in my country, at least, we didn't have at the moment, or we didn't know it was a possibility or a field. So that's when I started playing around with user experience design and things like that. So that's kind of like I've been here ever since. I focus right now into consultancy for user experience design, and also with my company that I created in 2010. I've been going from doing everything from branding to print to whatever anyone needed to just slowly narrow down my services and specialize right now only in membership sites, which I also did as a consequence of COVID, because I felt that we were all living through such hard times and unknowns that I wanted to have one thing that I could somehow control. And it was, what I was doing for my clients. So I decided for now to just pause on some of those other services and just focus in one, so I can just do, be very good at it, create the processes that I want, and really nail down those processes so I can just deliver the best services for my clients, still have my business running, and, have more time to like decompress and still live through this pandemic world we're today.
Wow. What a background, Jennifer. Wow. Why do you do what you do?
Why do what I do? One thing that I always remember was when I was in design school, I had this professor who said that designers have the honor to become, for a short period of time, however time you want, experts in a field, because we do need to translate a vision of a company or, a person into something, right? And what I love of doing what I do is that I can go to either a bank or a local shop or, finance services or a coach, and I can just like learn from their expertise, their processes, and how they serve other people in order to help them. And what I love of what I do is that I get exposed to all these things that I feel that if I chose another career would be really hard to do. And I just love how I can just translate something that seems so intangible. When I talk about like helping people putting online programs, I have clients that do anything and everything out there that when they come to me the first time, they're not very sure if what they do can be successfully translated into an online experience. And that challenge for me is just so much fun and so exciting that this is why if I do one thing and it's this one thing, I can just dive deep and just sort of like figure this out, and together we can see how this could translate in an online experience. And for me, it's just, I love the challenge of a new project coming in, learning from a new field, learning from a new way of working, and just learning from other professionals that I get to work with.
Let's put man aside. How do you know you are successful?
I think success is a very personal thing. I know we tend to compare maybe ourselves, our companies, to others, but I think success is such a personal journey, at least for me. And I've learned that because I used to compare myself with so many other people. And then once you start seeing, maybe a little bit deeper, having conversations and being open with other people into, hey, how are you doing? I see that you achieved this. I think like once you start getting those conversations and opening up into what are the struggles that we all go through, you'll know that success is very different for all of us. Yes, I know there's like different things of like, revenue and clients and all these things. But I think for each person, for each company, and for each entrepreneur out there, looks different. From some people might look like growing a company with 100 employees. For another one might be just a company that scale up and it's just a couple of people, but you have enough freedom to spend with your loved ones. For other people might be just, how many followers you get. So I think it's just something that is very personal, and it has to be fulfilling for you, because if we start chasing those success metrics that we hear we should hit, maybe those are not the right for you or your business at the time.
What did you learn from launching a business with a strict 1 year deadline, no safety net? Wow.
I've learned that when I get a challenge like that, fear goes out of the window, and I should remind myself that daily. So what happened was that once I graduated from my master's degree as an international student, the US only gives you a year for you to figure out what you do with your visa, with your papers, are you staying, are you leaving? The thing is that when I graduated was less than 6 months after the bank the bank crisis in the US, which was in September 2008. So you graduate with a shiny diploma, trying to find a job. And of course, at that time, companies were just focusing into hiring Americans, citizens, because you don't have to sponsor them. You don't have to hire the lawyer, do the paperwork to get a visa. So for me, at that moment, I just took it as an experimental year where I said, okay, if I only have 1 year to stay here and I can do the most of it, I just started saying yes to a lot of projects. And funny enough, most of the projects that I said yes, that were not design related, but they were more like into the open culture side of it, were the ones that allowed me to, just get a visa that it was I could work by myself. But I think what I learned from that year and my business was that knock a lot of doors, try whatever you want, and listening to no is not the end of the world. Like if someone says no to you, you just go to the next. But I think for me was having that deadline made me more fearless, which I should remember every single day, that I was able to do that in a time crunch when my future was kind of like unknown. And it ended up working well, right? So yeah, I think it was interesting. It's interesting when I look back to see how it's just like, yep, I'll do it. I'll do that. I don't care. Let's just do this and dive in completely. And it's something I need to remember more often.
Wow. Tell my audience about the magic moment, the date suddenly all went right for you.
For me, when it started going right was, as I said, I started like getting involved in projects with cultural organizations in Europe and South America. And I just started doing that because I had this one project that it caught their attention. It was access to knowledge and access to tools for other designers in training. So it is related to what I do, but it was mostly for the future of design students that might not have the resources to get, the fancy laptop and the fancy programs and the books and all that. And I realized that I was just doing that almost like for me. I made no money out of it. Like these organizations were kind enough to maybe, book my flights for me, if even, and like, getting me into like hostels that they were like partner up. But like for me, the experience of just being so involved in that community and just giving so much, because I was just like, I'll give you all the knowledge that I have to make this project happen. What I didn't know at the moment was that because of those events and those partnerships and those relationships was basically the evidence that I could use to get what is known as an artist visa today, which is an alien with extraordinary abilities. And that allowed me to have the flexibility not only to stay legal in the country, but also I could work with anyone through my company, because it was not a work visa, which a work visa, you have to only work with a company that actually hires you. With the visa that I had, thanks to all this work that I did and all these relationships with these organizations, because it was international and there was like some media, it was kind of like it looked fancy for like an application. I was able to obtain that freedom that I felt that during that year, it had a deadline. Like I felt like during that year, once the year hits, that's it. I need to figure out what to do. And to my surprise, I found a way in, and I found a way to just be able to stay here, build my business, and just sort of like, yeah, being here for 13 years now.
Wow. What have you learned from business as a whole?
I've learned that my business, I wanted to have the same boundaries as I have as a person. I am very protective of the time me and anyone that works with me on the name of my business has, and who do we work with. We spend many long time with clients, and we go through tense moments or things like that. So for me, it's more of like how the people and the companies that we work with are a right fit, or how am I a right fit for you based on the values that we have, and how do we basically want this business to be. I had a time that I was saying yes to everyone. And I realized that that just led me to burnt out. And the more clear I got into who I want to work with, the type of organizations that I want to work with, the type of work they do, the type of impact they create, that allowed me to just, find that magic spot of my business, feel energized every day, go through the hard times. Let's say a client is having massive technical issues, just be very kind to each other, have that relationship of saying, okay, we'll figure this out. There's no cattiness, there's no, ASAPs. That's something that I appreciate of my clients. And I tell them as much as I can how kind they are, and how by them trusting me and my team is just, it means a lot. And I want to respect the relationship. But it's a two-way street, right? So I think it's just that. It's like, who do I invite into our space, and how do we, as business are run by human beings, at the end, we just make the most out of it, and we respect each other, and we help them grow as they want.
What is the most dangerous belief an online entrepreneur can have?
Oh, yeah, that's a hard one. For me, and this is a very personal one. For me, I'm not a fan of the hustle culture. I'm a fan of like working smart and putting the systems in place that you need to achieve one thing. I think this idea of hustle, 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 listening like almost like blindly to the shoots that you have. You should do this, you should do that, and you start testing all these things, putting them in place, and then suddenly you realize that they don't work. I think that's a dangerous zone, because, as I said, every business, its needs are going to be different, and you as a business owner, you're going to have different ways of achieving what you need. And I think for me, it's that, like, don't listen to the you should do this, just listen to them, maybe analyze it, think how that's actually going to benefit your business. If that time they're going to spend setting that new tool, that new process, that new whole like funnel makes sense for you, and how it connects to the way that you actually connect with your audience. Because, I feel like when I look back into moments and I'm like, oh my God, I wasted so much time doing that and it didn't really work, was when I started putting either adapting processes from someone else in my business, or just like doing like crazy sales pitches that I would never do naturally. So I think it's just like, careful with the hustle culture, and everything that I hear out there from experts, listen to it, but take it with a grain of salt. Like, really analyze how is that going to benefit your business, and just be very open to testing things. Just like, if you can do it in a quick test, launch it and see if it works, do it. Yeah, I think that's it.
What are you still doing in the way you work that you just know you have to stop doing?
Yeah. I think it's just overthinking things. I tend to, how many things I have in draft folders and in draft documents in my Google Drive? Too many. And I think I wished, and I'm working towards that, hit publish or play or send more often without being so precious about it, which is something that is interesting enough. I tell my clients, let's just do this and test it. And then when I try to do it for my own business, I just turn it off and like do something else. So I wish I was less precious about how perfect things have to be, and just publish more things. Just put it out there.
Are you a holder? Like now you hold all your files, you cling on them. You don't want to let them go.
I know. I go to the Google Drive and I'm almost at capacity. And when I start looking through it, it's just a bunch of ideas and things that I started. And I'm like, that's a big red flag.
Wow. Okay. If you could rerun the first year of your business, what would you definitely know to do?
I will definitely be more specific into who I want to work with. What do I want to offer to them? And just, I don't want to say niche down, because that's very hard. But if I could, I would definitely specialize into what I want to do, who I want to work with, and how to deliver it. And I wish I was documenting more processes So I didn't have to reinvent the wheel over and over again with each client.
What is the most valuable thing you have ever given away?
I guess sleepless nights for like things that I don't have control over it. Maybe situations that I didn't really have control, and some things went bad with a project, and I just took it very personal and almost as it was on me that I should have seen this coming, but I had no control over it because either tech happens or vendors don't deliver on time and things like that. And I wished I was taking less personally things that happened in the past. I'm getting better at it, and I think that just worrying too much, maybe having a bad day because of it, or being rude to my significant other because I got a catty email from a client with things that didn't have anything to do with me, and I was trying to go above and beyond to help them. I think it's just my personal well-being, probably.
What is one thing that has contributed to your success?
I think the vision that I have, which again, it has evolved and changed so much, but this vision of I want to be able to support myself. I want to be able to build something that, I'm proud of. And I'm very inspired by the people that I work with. So I think that keeps me going when I see the things that we achieve and the things that we build, and just thinking of like the impact that they're making. That really, really inspires me every day and keeps me going.
What grounds you?
My family, just being in contact with them constantly. We're all around the world right now. I have a brother in Brazil, another in Spain. My mom is still in Venezuela. I have cousins also like spread around because of the country situation. But I think just talking to them often, remembering where I come from, remembering that I have such privilege of being here and have the life that I have, and be able to do this and have a business, it's something that is I don't want to ever give for granted, and just really remembering where I'm coming from and how privileged I am.
Why are you making a major pivot to helping entrepreneurs launch or enhance their online membership sites?
So as I did the pivot into like focusing in membership sites, it was just for me, and I keep giving this metaphor all the time. We have that door at home where you keep putting things, and you come in, you put things, you just keep like either receipts or things that you don't use. And then there's one day that you open it, you clean it up, and you have doubles of this, you have something you haven't used for like 3 years, and you start like digging into all these things. And for me, it was just that as we grow our businesses and we add new services, it's almost like that door that you keep adding things into it. And last year, and I always wanted to just like focus on one thing, but it's hard. It's not easy. It's not easy just to say, well, if I'm not going to do this service, am I going to lose that client? But I think last year was just like, okay, I need to do this for my own mental health. I mean, I live in New York. We got hit by COVID really hard. We were like sitting in our apartment, not knowing what was going to happen. And for me, it was just like, okay, let me clean up my door and just keep the one thing that I need to go through this year, which means what is the one thing that can keep the lights on in my business, but also I can help more people. So that was the first step for me to pivoting. Then a lot of people that I talked maybe months before that, or clients that we just did branding or something like that. Once COVID hit and they started like focusing more into, I want to move my business online, or, live events didn't happen and the things were starting getting canceled. And I saw how for them was also the same thing. It was almost like a forced pivot of, oh, wow, okay, I guess this is the time for me to focus on this. Let's get it done. Let's work together and finally put this thing up. So it was interesting for me to see how, as I was pivoting my business into just focusing one thing, I saw people that I was having conversations, or clients, current clients, past clients, or people who said that they were interested in building this thing one day. They decided, I'm ready, let's do this. If there's a moment to do this, it's right now, as I'm going to be home. I cannot do any live events, or I cannot open my store, or I cannot just see my clients in person. So it was a process. It was interesting to see that process happen to me, but also to happen to the people that I work with today.
In your business, do you have a mentor or a coach?
I don't have right now. It's something I think I would like to. So I'm open to the idea. I think I think by the end of the year, I would like to just work with someone closely. Because I am a big believer that there's always something you can learn. There's always something you can simplify, by the way. And there's always something you can just do to, bring something new to your business. So I'm definitely open to that. I kind of like looking around, but not really. You know, when you're like paying attention to what people say. But I think by the end of the year, I would like to work with someone who can help me sort of like take a step back into the daily things you do in your business and just see, almost kind of like help me hold that big vision that sometimes when you're tired or you're like busy with work, you're just like, oh my God, I'm going to take a week off and forget about this. Just have someone that can help me accountable and can help me realize that that big vision that I have is not only possible, but I'm more than capable of achieving it.
What is one thing no one knows about you?
That I am an introvert. I know my friends think that I'm not because I love chatting and I can talk for hours. But when I find myself in a space where I don't know anyone, I'm going to be in a corner pretending I'm on my phone because I'm really bad at small talk. I'm really, really bad. I'm really awkward. It's a skill that I wish that I had, but I don't. I might say hi and then just kind of like keep quiet. So yeah, so I'm really bad at small talk and being in a space where I don't know a lot of people.
Wow, thanks for sharing. Wow, okay. What is the most important question to ask someone who has bought from you?
What does success look like? If we are meeting up in a year from now, what are we celebrating? I always like to ask that question because that gives me a little of like insights into what they're looking for. And also there's something about the why people want to work with you that they might say, hey, I want a website. But what does that mean, right? What does that really mean for you, for your business, for your family? So when I ask that question of like, how do you see success happen or what are we celebrating in a year from now? I love that they bring personal things, business things, and it's not just about the artifact that we're actually building.
Let's talk about your business. Tell us more about it and how can we connect with you?
Yes, so you can connect with me on social media. Is my full name, Jennifer Dopazo, and my business is Candelita. And you can just also go to candelita.is and yeah, check it out, see what we've been doing. And if you want to connect, more than happy to do that. As I said, I love chatting, even though that I'm a little bit awkward in person. Small talk, I love talking business. So yeah, just hit me up.
I know it is all about graphic design. Who is this for? Somebody who's starting, somebody
Oh,
who's
yes.
earning 7 to 8 figure.
We help. So what I'm focused right now, again, as I said, I build membership sites. So I help entrepreneurs and coaches who really want to translate their knowledge into a scalable platform, which could be an online course or a membership site. So that's what we're focusing on right now. Entrepreneurs, coaches, anyone who has any sort of like service and process that can be translated into one to many. And then we can just do it in a scalable way by just building a membership website and just allowing you to, impact more people. Because the working one on one, you can spread yourself very thin. And maybe it's the moment that you want to, add that extra, income to your business and just build a community around it.
Thank you. There will be more from Jennifer in a moment. If you are listening to this on a podcasting platform and you are encouraged by Jennifer's journey, please go to our website at onlinesuccessjourney.com. The site has tons of audio clips from hundreds of successful entrepreneurs' guests' journey, all there to help you find a path for your own online success journey. The site offers exclusive members-only content and you can join absolutely free and be part of this amazing online success community today. Check it out. That's onlinesuccessjourney.com. Now, Jennifer, I would love for you to share more with my audience if you are up for it.
Yes.
Thank you. Do you like to watch a movie? Do you like to read the books? What do you like to do?
I love both. I love reading books as a way of just like disconnecting. So sometimes I try to like pick something, I don't know, like a romantic novel, something that is not business related because I need that time to turn off my brain. I love reading before bed. Of course, if it's a great binge watch showing, I'm all for it.
Okay.
I'm all gonna be sitting there watching it.
Thank you. Tell us, what is your favorite movie that has some relevance to being an entrepreneur?
My favorite movie, entrepreneurship. Whew, that's an interesting one. This might not sound very entrepreneurship like aligned with, but one of my favorite movies is Amélie Poulain, which is this French movie. And I think it's about how she builds this world around her where people really don't understand, and she struggles to sort of like, she has this very creative way of seeing the world and imagining scenarios and imagining stories. And I think I sometimes feel like that when I talk about my business, especially if you have friends who might not be entrepreneurs, they have their full-time jobs, and you sort of like, depending on who you're around, sometimes I feel like my friends see me as this character who's like, oh, you're building this thing, and they come to me and they say things like, oh my God, you have this glamorous life. And I'm like, well, it's not really glamorous every day. I mean, it is hard to build these things. So I feel that thinking about that movie and how she sort of like keeps going with her world and the way she interacts with people, the way she sees the world, I think it's something that it's a good metaphor of how when we're building this thing, we might find people who really don't understand what we're doing or see why we're doing it, but we have to be okay with it, and just keep ourselves motivated and just keep ourselves going.
If your business was down to last $100, how would you invest it?
A bottle of wine, a good one, and share with my favorite people that I've worked with or have been part of my business.
How nice, thank you. What is the best business book you have ever read?
It doesn't have to be that hard at work. It's a book by the folks of, it's a book about building a calm business, which is really interesting because they're a huge business. It's by the folks from Basecamp. And it's the idea of we should all be able to build a successful business without sacrificing nights, weekends, without overworking, without sacrificing our families. As long as we have a clear vision, we put ourselves to success. We don't put like these crazy goals and deadlines and things like that we know we're not going to achieve. It's been my favorite book so far, and that's something that I'm looking forward. It's just, I want to build a calm business, something that it doesn't feel that is out of control, that every day there's so many things happening that you cannot keep up to it. Just something that whoever works with me, whoever works with my company or for my company, they feel that personal time and personal wellness comes first, and that if we work together, we can achieve what we can do.
If you are going to keep a note to yourself in your handbag every day, what would be written on it?
Oh my God, that's a hard question.
In your drive, in your case, where you stash all the stuff.
In my case, I stash all my stuff in this small closet that I have by the in my office, and it's crazy when I have to clean it up, the amount of sketchbooks you find that are new, unused, and I keep collecting them and buying them and putting them in. And I'm also stashing things like catalogs that I like, things that are like just beautiful to see, like books or graphical things that even though that I don't do print anymore, I just have them stashed there.
Oh dear. So what note would you put there on that?
I would not put there anything like legal, financial, like real business stuff. Like that's kind of like my dream inspiration closet. Almost like a children's closet. Like, yes, I open it and I can pick a sketchbook that I want. I have these like, different materials and things that I've been collecting. For my boyfriend, it's kind of like, I don't understand that closet at all. But for me, it's just like, that's my secret thing. And I just save things that I think they're pretty and I might use someday. Maybe not, but I hope so.
Okay. What is your next chapter?
My next chapter is I want to keep working into creating processes and maybe productizing my services in a way that I can work with more people, maybe do some group plans where I can help people just launch their membership websites without having to commit into that one-on-one custom, WordPress website that I know it is an investment, and I'm not going to lie. So something that at least I want to help them just as a group build frameworks and stuff like that I know that there are big courses out there that they just claim to do that, but it's very confusing. So I think for me is that I want to test the waters with a group setting and a program. And yeah.
Do you feel like you succeeded or like you're only on the way?
I think I see it as like different stages of success, right? I think I have slowly hit different milestones. And as I hit one, I give myself another one. So I don't want to say that I've succeeded. It's almost like, oh, it's done and there's nothing to do. I feel that I've been successful into hitting different milestones, and that has allowed me to see the potential of what I can do next.
Will you ever stop?
I don't think so. That's a good question. I don't think so. That really worries me.
Remind us how we can connect with you.
You can connect with me. Social media, it's my full name, Jennifer Dopazo. And you can also visit my company's website. It's candelita.is.
Jennifer, it's been great to have you here to share your online success journey with us.
Thank you. It's been so much fun, and I'm so grateful for you to having this space for me.
Thank you. That's a wrap. Remember, success is a journey. Patience and Jennifer.
This is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to Patience and her guest, and want you to know there are hundreds of episodes available at onlinesuccessjourney.com. Patience would like to thank you for listening to the podcast, and she has a free gift for you on our website, including an audio compilation of her guests' best tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. Additionally, there are special clips of over 250 episodes that have never aired on the podcast, and they're only available to members of the Online Success Journey. Check the website and click on Join Now to get free and instant access. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps each of us chart our own path. So make sure you're subscribed on your favorite platform to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the Online Success Journey and listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review the podcast at iTunes and other sites. We appreciate your help and your willingness to share your journey. One last thing. If you're feeling a bit lost or overwhelmed on your own journey, Patience can help. Check out her course on clarity while you're at the website. Finding clarity is a great way to get back on the right path. On behalf of Patience, and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.